So Yemen have done something absolutely incredible, and they have expanded their area of operations to the Indian Ocean. So now the blockade against Israeli ships is no longer just in the Red Sea. Again, I just want to put this on the map so you know you can understand what I'm saying. The Israelis think that they can circumvent the blockade here at the Bab el-Mandeb Strait by going around Africa. And again, even that was funny to me, because what Yemen did is they single-handedly set back European Western trade by 200 years until before the Suez Canal was dug. So to me, that was already funny, right? Because of how dashing and daring it is. You know, it really is ballsy to do that. It truly is. And not only that, but look what happened now. The Yemenis have struck 3 American ships and 2 Israeli ships in the Indian Ocean. I'm not talking about the Arabian Sea now. I'm not talking about the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. I'm not talking about the Red Sea. The Indian Ocean. Do you understand how significant that is? So the ships that thought they could go around, oh no, it's not happening. So again, here's the Arabian Sea, here's the Gulf of Aden, that's the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and here's the Red Sea. The Yemenis hit ships over here in the Indian Ocean. You have to understand how crazy that is, because it essentially means now that Yemen have, and we already knew this, but nevertheless, they have missile capabilities that are so extensive, literally extensive. They can reach all the way into the Indian Ocean. You know, this is exactly why they were able to win the war against Saudi Arabia and the GCC, which was backed by America, Britain, and so on. It's when they struck Aramco and they struck the UAE. Everyone was like, what the hell? How did you reach all the way there? How did your drones reach all the way there? And then they surpassed that even more this time with the blockade. And again, I've told you time and time again, these anti-ship ballistic missiles, you have 30 seconds to react. And this is even when you're in a military ship. And you need to understand that the Americans and Britain, you know, we want to project this image of, oh, well, they're just a bunch of Arabs and we're so much better with our technology. We're so much smarter. We're coming to, protect Western trade. And we're getting made, they're making fools out of us. They're making fools out of us. Britain and America have, now struck Yemen several times. They've struck the international airport. They've struck Hodeidah. They've struck, Aden as well. What did that achieve? They've struck Sana'a. What did that achieve? Nothing. Yemen still have the blockade in place. If you're an Israeli ship, you're getting clapped. But now, I mean, seriously, I can't believe it. I can't believe how crazy this is. This is really, really a blockade that only a full-fledged navy could pull off. And the Yemenis are attacking. When I said they attacked 3 American ships in the Indian Ocean, I wasn't talking about commercial ships. They have struck military ships almost every single day. The Yemenis are firing at U.S. destroyers, at U.S. military ships. That is how much they are scared of the U.S. Navy. They do not care. They are the only people on this planet that are brave enough and effective enough and able and capable to fire at U.S. Navy ships. There's no one else doing that. No one. Show me one example. You can't. The Yemenis are doing that. And it is so embarrassing that they're not talking about it on the news. That's how crazy this is. So once again, when we talk about Gaza, and I always talk to you about the multi-front war. This is what I mean. It's truly extraordinary from a political point of view, from a military point of view, from an economic point of view, because of how far-reaching the implications are of this war. The ripple effect is unbelievable. And I just want to remind you that Yemen are not interested in hurting innocent people who have nothing to do with this, because if they really wanted to blockade all ships, I mean, the prices of everything, of food, fuel would all go up, right? But they're only doing it to Israeli ships. They're only doing it to Israeli-linked ships. So let me just go through this quickly from Al Mayadeen. Okay, so they say that the naval forces of the Yemeni armed forces, meaning basically the Yemeni Navy, carried out an operation against the Israeli ship Pacific 01 in the Red Sea with a number of suitable naval missiles. And then, in addition, alongside the Israeli ship, the drone unit carried out an operation against an American destroyer in the Red Sea, okay, using a number of drones. And then they also, so this is the Ansar Allah leader, okay, Abd al-Malik al-Houthi. He announced that the Yemeni armed forces would begin to expand the scope of operations against Israeli ships, or those linked to Israel, or those heading to the ports of occupied Palestine, to include the Indian Ocean and the Cape of Good Hope. I mean, what a win for the Palestinian resistance. Again, the Cape of Good Hope is down here. And, we're talking about South Africa, basically, right? So if you want to go around, which is how the ships now have to do it, you're really in big trouble. And already the fact that you have to go around Africa means increased shipping costs, increased shipping time. That's bad enough. But now if you're not allowed to pass, you're going to have to pay demurrage fines. And it's so funny to see this because the Saudis, and I reported about this, I wrote on my Substack an article, and I did this with a Yemeni economist, Oxford graduate, who used to work at the World Bank. We put together a report about how they were making ships going to Yemen divert, and then those ships would have to stay in a port for like 6 months, and the demurrage fines would go through the roof, and there would be no fuel in Yemen, and the price of medicine would skyrocket, the price of everything would skyrocket, and now the tables have turned. You don't understand how sweet that is, to literally turn the tables on them. Now it's not Yemeni or ships headed to Yemen that have to divert, and it's not the Yemenis that are paying the price. No, it's those who carried out that slaughter against Yemen and who are now doing it to the Palestinians. I mean, again, you love to see it. This is an anti-imperialist moment at its finest. It really is. It really is. If you're a really anti-imperialist, you're anti-colonial, you have to respect the Yemenis. Even if you're not, you still have to respect them for how ballsy they are and effective. Look, to this day, as I'm speaking to you in mid-March, the blockade is still in effect. And they, until last week, they had killed not a single person. I don't think they wanted to kill those 3 people. That was obviously by accident. It was a mistake. But again, the Israelis have only themselves to blame for that tragedy. Right? They are the ones who insist that these ships try and come to occupy Palestine. They're the ones who are prosecuting this war against Palestinians. They have no one to blame but themselves. I want to direct your attention to another point, which is that again, when the Americans are firing missiles at these Yemeni drones, do you know how much these missiles cost? I told you that from American ships, they cost $2 million per missile. Okay, each missile costs $2 million. From the British ships, they're firing Sea Vipers, which cost over £1 million each. So relatively the same price. But the Yemeni drones that they're trying to shoot down are so effective and so cheap. They cost a few $1,000s at most. At most. I think the largest estimate I heard was $17,000. And that's really at the far end. That's really like worst case, 17,000. What's 17,000 compared to 1 million or 2 million? So, even if the Yemenis are not, for example, taking out an American destroyer, they are still burning up so much cash and bleeding, essentially, figuratively speaking. They're bleeding the United States and the United Kingdom dry by launching these attacks. What I think is funny is also that the French and the Germans have sent their own ships to come to protect this disgusting colony called Israel in the Red Sea. And once again, you have to ask yourself, like, what are all of these countries doing there? What is the United States? What is the United States doing all the way in the Gulf of Aden? It has no business in the Gulf of Aden. What is the United Kingdom doing in the Gulf of Aden? And remember, I'll just remind you that Yemen used to be a British colony, so there's a very nasty history there, you know, there's a context there which the Yemenis don't appreciate. Then again, the French. What the hell are the French? What are the Germans doing all the way near Yemen? I mean, you only need to look at a map to understand who is wrong and who is at fault. These countries have no business being here. None. You know, if they don't like their commercial ships being stopped, well, too bad. They shouldn't have bombed Yemen. Remember that only Israeli ships are blockaded. The only time where Yemen started shooting at British and American commercial ships is when Britain and America bombed Yemen. So, you know, that which is a relatively new development. I mean, from over a month ago, right? But the original blockade was just Israeli ships. But no, they had to come in and start, killing Yemenis again. Well, you know, you have to pay the price. Then what can I say? This development, in any case, is a win. It's a huge win. It is truly crazy. I mean, let's say that you're going to try and circumvent the blockade in the Indian Ocean by going all the way around. You're going to sail down past Malaysia and Australia and Antarctica and then come back up. Well, okay, go ahead and do that. But guess what? You've just increased shipping costs and shipping time. So it's a lose-lose whatever you do. Well, I guess the only solution is not to kill Palestinians, right? It's not to aid and abet the criminal Zionists, period. It's a very simple solution, but, you know, if you insist, well, I'm sure the Yemenis are more than happy to oblige with a volley of drones. So in any case, you know, well done to the Yemenis, and this is what the Arabs should all be doing. Again, when I did my mini documentary, I made this very clear. And I did it right around the time, October 27th. I think it was soon thereafter that the blockades started. And I made the point back then, which is that, look, this giant stretch of land here, from all the way from Yemen, or from Oman, excuse me, which is next to Yemen, to Morocco. I mean, this used to be one country, basically, you know, the Arab countries, all of this. And what the West did is they came and they drew all these borders. You know, again, these borders are just made up by Western countries. And what the Arabs should do in order to fix this is to remember how things used to be and remember the power that they control. You know, turning off the oil, for example, is one option. But of course, the blockade of major trade routes is another. You have the Strait of Gibraltar here, which is part of Morocco. If Morocco, you know, were really backing the Arab cause or the Palestinian cause, they would just shut it. I know that Gibraltar is British, but again, it's a colonial outpost, and it's still Morocco's just as much, right? And if not more, obviously. And if you go over here, again, we have the Suez Canal. Why has Egypt not closed the Suez Canal until now? This is scandalous. This is inexcusable. This is incorrigible. This is unfathomable. I mean, any president worth their salt would be looking at this and close the damn thing since day one. But the Yemenis saw fit to do the same, and truly they have done the same. Why? Because they have blocked the connection of the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. Whether you block it up here at the Suez Canal or down here at the Bab el-Mandeb Strait makes little difference. At the end of the day, you've severed the artery that connects global trade from one sea to the other. And of course, the other one is the Strait of Hormuz, which is at the UAE and with Iran. You know, if the UAE were so inclined as to back the Palestinians, I have no doubt in my mind that Iran would be more than happy to oblige them and help shut the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, they'd be more than happy to. And Iran have also threatened to basically shut down the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, the Mediterranean Sea is not, you know, a tiny strait like the ones I've just mentioned, but nevertheless, you know, it's possible for them to reach the ports or to basically block any ships from passing all the way from Iran with the missile technology that they have. In any case, you know, I think you understand what I mean. this is what is sad, is that the Arabs could easily, so easily shut all of these straits and destroy, not just overnight, within minutes, within minutes, they could, stop everything that's happening. But these are not Arabs. I mean, like Morocco, the king, Morocco, the president of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, these countries are not really representing their own people, never mind Arab interests as a whole or Palestinian interests. So, that's the problem, is that these people have been basically prepared, groomed, and installed by the West. So, and of course, if you look at Syria, I mean, Syria itself as a country, look how they splintered it. They splintered it into Iraq, into Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Lebanon. This was all one country. Gaza used to be the border between Egypt and Syria. It's just Syria and then Egypt. That's it. But divide and conquer works in this way, right? You come in and you divide based on sectarian lines, and then you have problems that are still there 100 years later, over 100 years later still. So the only way to reverse the divide and conquer, the colonial problems that the West brought to Arabia, is simply to do what I am saying, is to sever the trade routes, to get rid of these stupid borders that are made up. But of course, this is easier said than done. Nevertheless, Yemen have come through despite all their problems, despite all the economic hardships that they have endured and still endure because of the West, because of the same people that are butchering Gaza. They have stood up and put these leaders to shame. They have put these leaders to shame. They put the whole world to shame. Who can stand taller than Yemen right now? Who can say I did more than Yemen? No one. So really, kudos to them. They have really honored themselves, honored the Arabs and the Palestinians, and as have the resistance all over. And keep in mind that Iran is not even an Arab country, and nevertheless they have come through more than some Arab countries. It's not even comparable. So that says a lot. And we have transitioned from pan-Arabism to, well, something else. But I think pan-Arabism, it did succeed within the people. If tomorrow morning you were to put it to a vote, I think you could certainly achieve some form of a pan-Arab union. But like I said, a lot of these leaders are backed by the West. So that's where Yemen comes in. And they have saved the day.